You are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So Charlie Watts, the drummer of the Rolling Stones, died yesterday. Just before I went to sleep, I was having a little bit of a fucking scroll, and I found out Charlie died, and I was fucking sad. That is, in a way, the end of the Rolling Stones. You can't really have the Rolling Stones without Charlie Watts. That's what hit me. I was like, I'm never going to be able to see the real Rolling Stones now. I was never going to see them. Even if they came to India, I wouldn't have gone and seen the Rolling Stones. It's just a little bit, a tiny bit, it's just a little bit much listening to 4 geriatrics sing Brown Sugar. I mean, I love the fucking Rolling Stones. They're my favorite band of all time, easily. But it would have been just a little bit too much for me. Like, if you gave me a free ticket, I'd probably still go. I have to be honest with you. But it's still a lot going to see those old men at a stadium with like 80,000 other people standing right at the back, listening to Paint It Black. It was the same for me when I saw AC/DC. I'm like, that will probably do it for me. I love AC/DC, but you only really need to see a 70-year-old dude in a school uniform once, maybe twice. And they were great, but that was sort of the end of it for me, the nostalgia bands. And not even my nostalgia either. That's like 60s nostalgia. But anyway, it still hit me when I heard about Charlie. I loved Charlie. My old man always said Charlie Watts was the coolest Stone. And I think he's right, because I've been listening to Charlie Watts interviews all day today. Instead of researching a Boyle Breaks history this week, I accidentally went down a fucking Charlie Watts rabbit hole. So I won't be doing Boyle Breaks history this week, and I know a lot more about Charlie Watts than I did yesterday. And I think Charlie Watts was the coolest Stone because it seemed like he just thought everything was fucking stupid. Like, being a Rolling Stone was just dumb. He was just there to play the drums for a band. He didn't give a fuck about the fame, the fortune, the puss that was getting thrown his way for like 60 years. And he batted it all away as well. That's how you know he's a different fucking cat, this Charlie Watts. He got married in 1965. 1965, the same year Satisfaction came out. Baby, better come by maybe next week, 'cause you see, I'm on a losing streak. I can't get no. No. Hey. And he stayed with the same woman until the day he died. I don't think people realize how fucking hard that would be. And I don't know his faithfulness record. It seems like he stayed pretty clean-skinned, but who knows though? He might have had a couple of slip-ups here and there. But let's say he did. Let's say along the way, he was with the Stones for 60 years. Almost 60 years. It's like 57 or some shit. He got married to his missus the year Satisfaction came out. I bet you his missus heard that song and was like, fuck, I better tie this cunt up. She knew. She heard the opening riff to Satisfaction and she was like, fuck, panties are going to be flying his way. Let's get married. And Charlie was like, all right. So let's say over the course of 50-something years, he did slip up a few times. Let's say he slipped up 30 times. That's one moment of weakness every 2 years for 60 years. Let's say it's only 30. Nah, Charlie doesn't seem like that kind of guy anyway. This is just a hypothetical. So let's say he did 30 times over 60 years. I think he can be forgiven for that because each one comes with about 5,000 opportunities. More. He was the drummer of the Rolling Stones. He literally could have had any woman on earth. Even if he went to China or fucking Algeria or some shit where they don't even know who the Rolling Stones are, he still could have used some of his $250 million as bait. He could have just splashed that around Algeria and ended up hooking up with the princess. He could have had anyone. So it's really unlimited how many girls he had to overlook. So if he only fucked up 30 times... If he only fucked up 30 times in 60 years, that's still a good effort. Let's say he didn't even do the 30. Let's say he did the 0. Then what kind of person is he? Who the fuck has that much willpower? That is fucking insanity. That would be a superhuman effort, the likes never to be replicated again. Because you're getting thrown the strongest drug there is, puss. The drug of all drugs is getting thrown at you 24/7 for 60 years. And he said, no, I've got a wife at home, I like watching the cricket, and I like raising horses. That's what he did. He bred horses. That's why I think he's the coolest Stone as well, because the easy thing to do if you're a Rolling Stone is do what Ronnie Woods and fucking Mick Jagger just recently did. I think they just had kids, like their 8th and 9th kid, and they're like in their 70s. They're just jacked up on Viagra. They've got the money. The twang is still launching itself at them, and they are obliging. The easy thing is to do that. The easy thing is to just fucking indulge, do the drugs, bang the women, live the lavish rock star lifestyle, drink, go crazy like Mick and Keith did. And Ronnie and Brian Jones and anyone who was associated with the band. Mick Taylor, I think he had to leave the band after like 4 years because he was like, I can't take any more heroin. I'm going to die. Charlie Watts had a little problem with heroin for a little while, he said. That was in the 80s though. That was around the same time as they released Start Me Up, so he can be forgiven for that. And he didn't even sound like he had it that bad either. He said he fell asleep on the floor once, and Keith was like, you need to do this when you're a little bit older. And he's like, I would stop when I went home to my wife, but the heroin was putting a strain on my marriage. But anyway, he kept time for 60 years for the greatest fucking band in the world, and it's never going to be the same without fucking Charlie Watts. The coolest fucking Stone. Vale Charlie, and that will do for tonight. See you the fuck later.